This rather mysterious looking device or machine is a corking machine for wine bottles. I'm estimating that it would have been made about 100 years ago, 1920s. It's made out of cast iron, and it has a rather strange maker mark on it, which doesn't make any sense. But I will be investigating that, and we'll shed some light onto that. We're going to restore it and make a demo. Many thanks for joining. My name's Stuart. We're now basically going to disassemble this device and see what we got. This part is missing the clamping area, and it's also stuck, so I need to use a thread file to clean up the end of it so that I can get it out. It was actually amazing that these screws were not locked solid or seized in. I managed to get the three of them out without my major problem. Once we've done that, we open it up and we can see there's a cog and a gear there, a rack, I should say. That's the part which is pushing the cork into the bottle. This part that I'm showing you here is where it pushes the cork or aligns the cork with the bottle top. Nicely made piece of brass. So this is the part that opens up the clamps which clamp the neck of the bottle. And as I said before, it pushes the cork into the area where before the plunger. It lines it up with the plunger. Just removing these split pins here. This is the clamping area, so this is the part which will grip the neck of the bottle. You may be able to see, but the rubber's totally perished. So that's the plunger that pushes the cork into the bottle. There's the wooden handle. That bushing is actually glued into the wood. Just trying to remove some parts that are peened over, or peened into the hand crank. They're basically guide rollers, and this is I'm removing this bushing from the wooden handle. This is the rubber that needs to be removed. I'm going to get terribly criticised in a minute because that's a wood chisel and I should not have done that, but I did. Just getting some of this grime off it. I don't think it's particularly grease, I think it's just the build up over the years. please like and subscribe, and more importantly, please leave any comments. They're always very welcome. Thank you. There's the worst of it off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into an ultrasonic cleaning tank. This will give it a little bit of a concentrated cleaning. This just uses detergent and water basically. If you heat it up, it works a little bit better. Now you can see it's attacking the dirt and grime. There's all the pieces, so it's basically dismantled. This actually was chrome plated or nickel plated. That's a little bit of a challenge for me with such big pieces. I can do some of the smaller pieces, but not these big castings. So I'm going to start with these, let's say, claws. These are the parts that clamp the bottle neck. We can see that that's broken. It's years of use. It's been fatigued on that and broken. So I'm just going to build it up with some weld. Now it's just to drill the hole back through again, and then afterwards put a countersink in there to make it the same as the other side. Now I'm doing some shot blasting. These two parts, I've speeded it up because there's not much to see. And after the shot blasting, I'm using let's say a chemical blacking material. It's an oxidization process that basically turns the oxide into black. They use them a lot in gun barrel restoration. So now I'm cutting this. Luckily I had a piece of rubber, thick one, so I can replace those rubber pieces, the ones that were perished, glue those in there. So they're done basically. Now I've got these pins, I need to do something with these. First of all, I need to build up the end, because the end, I had to reduce it to get it out. So I need to add a little bit onto it. Then machine it back on the lathe, making sure it runs true. Now I've got something that I can pin over to put these back in. Now let's have a look at these pieces. This is a marking blue. Strangely enough, I bought it, it comes from Ukraine. I don't really know why. Something to do with rare materials and the blue colour, I assume, cobalt. All I'm doing here is making this is going to be the clamp, the part that was missing to clamp it onto the bench or table. It's not a super precision job, but it needs to be more or less right. Just making a rough cut here with a thin saw blade. Just milling it true now. basically just to a line. It's not high precision. I'm now going to mill a little slot into the top, or flatten, make it square, and then mill a slot. This is the guide for it. Now I'm marking where the hole goes, and afterwards it'll have a countersunk in it, so that's where I pin it over into. Now you can see what that slot was for, it aligns there. Same thing again with this key or clamping thread. I've got to increase the length a little bit, clean it up. These are the parts that I'm going to bend over into that countersunk. This is an abrasive wheel. It's like fibres with fine abrasive in it. There's only so much I can do with this type of thing. It's been corroded and it's years old, so just to make it look reasonable. So all these parts now need to be cleaned up in the shot blaster. This is an 80 mesh grit, so it gives some kind of, it's reasonably smooth. I've speeded it up. You can see part of the original plating that was on there. That's what I can't do. So I'm painting it with silver paint. These are just too big for me to do the plating on. So there we have those parts finished. I'm just cleaning up some little components now. This is the plunger, pushes the cork into the bottle. That goes into vinegar, just to give it a clean up first. And then into my homemade nickel plating bath. I'm now cleaning up these parts, again on the lathe. These are little incidental pieces, but they need to be cleaned up. And I'll plate them again. These are some bushes and things. You know, you start to clean them all up and you realise that they've got corrosion in them. And in the end, you can't remove all of the corrosion. And I don't think it's necessary. This spring I'm putting it into some, I did put it into some rust remover, giving it a clean up with the fibre. Now I'm giving these pins a clean up. The rust it was fairly oxidated, so I had to just face it in the lathe. Now they go into some rust removing, and then afterwards into the nickel plating bath. This is relatively straightforward. It's basically vinegar and nickel in solution and a DC voltage. Not much to see. Now I've got this wooden handle, not a very big big challenge, but so I'm just going to machine down this piece of aluminium, and then it will fit snugly onto there, which would allow me to sand it down. Just a little bit of varnish now onto there. Now I've got this cog to clean up. I'm just going to shot blast it. These are the brass components. Don't see many things with brass in it nowadays. So here we can see basically all of the parts completed. So now it leaves me to start the assembly. I'm going to put these pieces back in, so I've got to pin them over. But there's a mystery related to this, and I should try to explain it. This is what I think it is. The maker mark is IBE, which is non-traceable. But the maker, absolutely for sure, is called Yankee, and it was made in the United States. So that means that they made them for a certain amount of customers, because I bought this in Portugal and it was obviously used, well, I think it was used in a relatively small winery in the north of Portugal, so it would have been white wine, slightly acidic, which may be why it's corroded in some places more than others. But it was made by a company in the United States called Yankee, and I believe that they made for dealers. So this would be a dealer in Portugal, and they wanted 500 pieces, let's say, made with the name IBE, and I'm sure that's what the whole thing's about. So we're getting close now. Get these plates back on. I did have a little bit of trouble with all the split pins and the order of doing things. So all these screws have been nickel plated. These are bushings. They roll. They roll. They act like a bearing, loosely speaking, for that plate as it slides backwards and forwards. You know, and obviously this was built. It probably cost a lot of money when it was purchased, in relatively speaking, and it was built to last, you know, a few hundred years, no doubt. I always dread doing anything with springs. one side is done, so now I've got that fixed on there. I need to obviously now compress that. This is the pivot and the part which locates it back into the machine. And then the split pin goes through the two parts. So now we can see this where the split pin goes. It was actually a lot more difficult than it appears, or it seems here. And now it's been fitted. This is the part which pushes the cork along to the top of the bottle. So what this does is those bushings open up the jaws that clamp the bottle. You'll see how it works in a minute. This is the moment of truth to see if my part works and fits okay. I think it will. I know it was like this because that's what I saw on the internet, and they were all Yankee and exactly the same as this. Now it works good. Pleased with that. Now you can see the finished item. I think it's really nice. It's giving it some dignity back and glory. Just going to show you a few close-up shots. There's also one coming up just in a minute with how it was originally. I'm just going to do the demo now. Yeah, that's how it was when it started. Got my trusty little workbench there. So now you can see the mechanism. Push it one way and it pushes the jaws into those bushes and opens the jaws. The sliding plate is opening those jaws now, so we can put the bottle underneath, or firstly put the cork in. So now we rotate the other way, so it drops the drawer, it clamps the bottle, pushes the cork into there, and then that plunger pushes the cork into the bottle. It's a rather ingenious mechanism. I'm just going to do it one more time for luck, so that you can see it again. And I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed restoring this. And many thanks for watching.